Hello. Hello, hello. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Carolyn. How are you? And whoever else is here that I don't see, maybe Steve. All right. How is everyone on this fine Wednesday? Anything to report? Anything to share with me? Lynn, good morning. Well, if anybody has anything to share, go ahead and do that. I think I'm going to keep my socks on. It's supposed to be warm today, but it does not feel warm. Good morning, Nancy. I think that's what you said. Yeah. All right. So let's do this. Let's do, because I have a couple of things that took place this last few days, some pieces of awareness that I'd like to talk about. All right. All right. So today I read an article that was someone reported, I don't even remember where it was. She said her chiropractor friend of hers was telling her that he's been in practice for 20 years. And what he's noticing in this last few years or recently has been an increase in spinal arthritis in the 20-something age group. And so I have been very posturally aware, mostly from two things. One is my own journey of my hip and noticing when I was forward in my body weight and how that would put extra pressure on my hip, learning about the weight bearing part of our body, the pressure from above, that the weight, the way it translates, the plumb line of our body. The hip joint, it's the front part of the hip joint where the pressure is, and the knee. So when we're very forward in our body, that puts a lot of extra pressure in our joints that we're not necessarily designed in this upright position to take as much pressure. The spine is a big, huge part of that as well. So when I was experiencing my journey of my hip injury, I was very aware of posture and alignment and the distribution of weight from above. The other place is my work with healthy aging or osteoporosis and bone health, and understanding how important joint alignment is to stop taking minerals out of the bone, so stopping contributing to bone density loss. Also, though, for health and happiness and the integrity of our body, posture is so key. So when this chiropractor is realizing or noticing that the 20-something crowd with our lifestyle of computers and texting is contributing to arthritis in the 20s, that's not great. And then I had an email that I received from a person who's practiced with me for years about rotator cuff issues, or actually shoulder pain, potentially rotator cuff. And I explained in my email how much posture has a relationship. And then since 2020, since we've all been kind of stopped in our tracks and been at home more, doing more things, shoulders have been a really big part of the issues that people have. So today, my focus is going to be on posture, on alignment, on coordination, on stretching your body and learning how to stretch your body and strengthen your body in ways that are appropriate for you. And I say that because I know some of the people that come to practice with me. I know their bodies because I've taught to them for years. So I know the people with the limitations of the knees that don't bend, low back issues, shoulder issues. We all have our thing, right? For me, it's hips and spine because of my hips. So we all have our things. So finding what is, first of all, your available range of motion that you have in your body today, meaning what can you do? And then exploring what you can add to expand your range of motion. So that is what the focus is going to be on today. Joint alignment, joint coordination, joint space, the range of motion available in your joints, and how can you safely, and when I say safely, I don't just mean staying safe. I mean your mind feels that it's safe, that your body says, yes, okay, I could try that. Or your body and mind says, not for me. So really expanding your range of motion physically in your joints, but also mentally in your mind, so that you don't come up against saying, oops, I'm not doing that. Oops, I can't do that. But rather you start to expand that, because it is possible if you do it a little bit at a time. All right. So that's what is today's practice is about, and I hope you're ready for that. For the practice, I'm going to have us beginning in a supine, which means lying down position. And I'm going to give you options because it's important that you find your practice. And we all have our own abilities to do what we're doing. So we're going to need a blanket and a strap for the practice, and that'll go off to the side. The strap will. And then to set yourself up for some kind of stretch in the spine, in the chest, in the shoulders, which is what the beginning of the practice will do. I'll show you starting from the hardest one to the most mellow, so that you could see and watch and say, yeah, that's for me, or no, maybe that one's not for me. The first one is definitely stronger, harder, and not quite as comfortable in terms of comfort. It would be this, 2 blocks. And so the 2 blocks are going to go like this. For some of you, this other one would need to be up here. The shoulder blades go here, the back of the head goes here. Now, if you can move the block down depending on what availability you have in your upper chest area. So that's one. This is a harder surface for the shoulder blades, so it's definitely a little bit more of a stronger opener. If you do have an egg block at home, then an egg block, one of my favorite props, would go behind your thoracic spine. So if I'm going to show you what this would look like while I'm lying down on the ground, it's this. This would be here, not up here. It would be here, so that the widest part of the block is right behind the heart, which is the least flexible part of the spine, right behind the heart. And if you were using the block would be about here behind the shoulder blades, or it could be this way as well. So it's just a matter of preference, what feels appropriate for your body, for your issues in your tissues. So that is if you're going to use blocks as an opener. The other options are blankets. And these are things that I want to take a little time to show you, because it's not just about what we're doing here. I want you to work on your body when you're not with me. I'd like you to learn what I share with you, and then do this always, because if you want your shoulders to be healthy and your spine to be healthy and your knees and your hips and all your joints in your body, if you want to keep the minerals in your bones and not get more bone density loss or get it in the first place, then we need to take care of ourselves every day, not just 1 or 2 hours a day. So the other one is this. You roll up your blanket into a tube, and this will be on the ground, and your spine will rest on the blanket. The other one, so that one is pretty, I feel like it's a relatively strong opener, to be honest. So that would be the entire spine. And then this one here, you could fold your blanket 3 ways. And this is going to go across your chest right around here by the heart, same place the blocks are going. And the goal is to stretch the thoracic spine, to open the front of the spine, because for most of us all day long, we're closing off the front of our spine. And it's really important that we open up our spine. All right, so go ahead and get whatever you need to get to bring yourself into a position where we are doing a chest opener, a supported chest opener. It could be more restorative if you choose a blanket. And then, well, it's pretty restorative for me with blocks as well. I think for me today, I'll use the 2 blocks. So go ahead, get your stuff. I wanted to make sure. All right. So let's come into this. Now remember, it's right behind the heart, so I'm not with you, and usually when I'm in class or working with people on Zoom, I usually have to correct to lower the prop because it is behind the heart. It's not in the low back though. So let's see how this feels for you. So when you come down onto this, you let the place right by the heart. So I have the blue block there, so hopefully you can see it. And then my shoulder blades are supported. Now for me, I could put the other block down pretty low. I don't need it as high. One thing I will say is having your knees bent is going to be very helpful here to allow more motion to be in your body. And then if you push your feet into the floor and you lift your pelvis up, you could actually lengthen the lower back by posteriorly tilting the pelvis. Tilting the pelvis back a little is going to add a little more length in that low back area. So especially for those of you that suffer from low back discomfort or pain, whatever level it is and whatever you're choosing to call it, then doing that little lengthening may be a nice real thing for you. And then here's where the real stretch comes in, is when you take your arms away from your body. And you need to close your eyes and take your arms wherever it feels appropriate, wherever the stretch that you're experiencing is appropriate for your body. And then when you arrive, begin to connect to your breath, closing your mouth, breathing in through the nose. Let your tongue rest in the lower jaw. Keep your mind here on your mat, in your body, in this moment. And then go to places where you feel the tension or to places where you're experiencing sensations. And let's all come to the place right where the heart is. The center of your body, the center of what's called the thoracic spine. This part of your spine is connected to the ribs. There's also in this part of the spine, this is where a lot of vessels and nerves branch off to either stimulate organs or organ systems, or to deliver or to take back things from the body. So whether that's nutrients, delivering nutrients, or bringing back into the system. It's also the nerves that stimulate and operate different aspects of your body, of organs, organ systems, tissues, muscles. So we really need our central nervous system, which travels down the spine, to be free and clear so that all the tasks and duties can be performed. So as you sit here and you feel stretching the tissues actually even hydrates, brings hydration in, which allows for more flow, more delivery, more uptake. So right here, your awareness is by your heart. Bring your breath to this area, so let the breath facilitate even more stretch, more opening. It's important to keep ourselves unobstructed, mobile. Keep everything in working order forever. Whether you're 20 or 20 plus 40, 20 plus 60. Let your breath come to the heart. Let your breath come to the lungs. And then whatever you have behind you, can you push your heart towards your prop, whatever it is, a blanket, a block, push yourself back towards that. See if you feel a deepening of the stretch and at the same time, a release of tension and pressure in the front of the body as you activate the back of the body. If you feel anything in the low back, push the sacrum, which is the base of your tailbone, sacral area, the base of the spine. Push that into the ground as well. So sacrum presses into the ground, shoulder blades press towards, or the spine presses towards your blanket or your blocks. And then press your head as well. Feel where you feel the stretch. Is it equal on both sides? The right side, the left side, the right chest, the left chest, the right armpit area, the left armpit area. Is it equal? So quite often people develop curves in their spine, scoliosis. And that can be from a lot of things. Depends what's happening to the joints below in the lower body, what's happening to the position of your pelvis, what's happening to the position of your head, what's happening to the way you move throughout your day, the activities you do. If you play tennis, is it always on the same side? Yes. If you cook, right. If you're one-sided, we all are, right? Or most of us are. So that side's getting used all the time. Those muscles are stronger and usually tighter. So what does that mean for symmetry in the body? So just exploring, noticing, trying to equal out and to stretch to areas of tension. Go ahead and release. Release and let go. So no more pressure on the back of the body, letting go, letting gravity now help assist the front of the body stretching deeper. Keep your mouth closed. Bring your awareness to your breath. Let's start to direct the breath deeper now, down to the lower ribs, to the belly, to the legs, to the feet. And then start to breathe to the sides of the body as well as the front of the body. Feel yourself getting wider with each breath. And then breathe to the back, to the whole spine, to the tailbone, to the low back, to the mid back, to the upper back. So breathe in through the nose and back towards your spine. You can actually help to facilitate more stretch as you allow your lungs to expand, which stretches more muscles, expands the rib cage, and stretches you in deeper ways. And then take 5 more big breaths, filling your entire torso as much as you can to stretch as much as you can. And then take your last breath. And let's move the fingers. Start to move your arms in whatever way feels appropriate. You could try to take the arms overhead. And then if you'd like, you can move where you are like doing a jumping jack, where the arms are off the ground. Try to keep the elbows and the hands in the same plane. And see if you can move your arms up and down. And then for those that have their shoulder blades locked in with a block, you're definitely going to get a lot of stretching here in the parts of you that move the arms, which is independent of the skeleton of the body. So the shoulder blades, the clavicle bones, and the arm bones are a separate part of your skeleton. They're called the appendicular skeleton. And they're separate from the head, the spine, the rib cage, the pelvis, and the legs. So moving your arms in this way, trying to get as much range of motion in the arms, in the shoulders. See what you can get. And then let's bring the hands behind the head. So lift the head up, clasp your hands, place the head in the hands. Let the thumbs be on the neck, and the thumbs are moving over that round part of the skull at the back. So your hands are supporting the round part of your skull. And then your thumbs are moving down towards your neck. So there's actually no bones there. Push your thumbs in. That's all muscles. Then see if you can lengthen your head a little bit to add a little traction in that neck spine. And then rest your hands. So whether you have a blanket behind you or blocks, let your head, the weight of your head go, and then push the elbows closer to the floor. It's going to get a stretch in the shoulder area, the armpit area. And this is an important area of the body because a lot of nerves come off the neck and branch off to go to the arms, the elbows, the forearms. So feel what you feel here, pressing your elbows towards the floor, really trying to open up the chest here. And then push your heart forward to deepen that stretch. Take one more breath. Next, we're only going to move the neck here. Take an inhale. Push your elbows towards the floor. And as you exhale, start to bring your elbows up towards your head. And then tucking your chin towards your chest. Lifting your head a little bit off your surface so that the stretch comes into the back of the neck. And you're not rounding the spine where the heart is. That's your exhale. Inhale to lower. It's a small move because the muscles that we're moving, the cervical spine and the shoulders and the areas we're moving, some of these muscles are only about an inch long. So you don't need to move a lot to stretch a muscle that's an inch long. And when we start to move more, then we're not in those inch long muscles anymore. And then we come to the outside, which is the bigger muscles, and we're stretching muscles that we're always stretching. I want us to be focused a little bit more on the spinal range of motion here, the cervical spine, and the muscles that mobilize the cervical spine and stabilize the cervical spine. You inhale to open completely, elbows down towards the ground. You exhale, chin to chest. Stretching your body glove so you could have more range of motion, minimize pain, minimize arthritis, line up the joints so you minimize wear and tear. And arthritis is taking minerals out of the bones to make those arthritic aspects, whether they're bone spurs or osteophytes or calcifications, whatever you want to call them. So go slow here as you start to bring range of motion into your cervical spine.
One more. That's flexion and extension. Go ahead, put your head back down on whatever it is. Take your arms back out to the side. Now we're going to do rotation. So make sure the tip of your nose is pointing directly up towards the sky, not towards the wall behind you. So arrange the back of your neck so it's nice and long. The tip of your nose is straight up towards the sky. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, start to roll your head towards one side. Feel a stretch, go slow, eyes are closed. So you can feel what you're doing. Inhale back to center. Exhale slowly, other direction. Back to center. Inhale, back to center. Exhale into the stretch. Close your eyes and go slow. Feel what you feel. And have your back and neck be nice and long. The next time you come to a side, stay there. Stay there and press the opposite arm towards the ground. And then release that pressure of the opposite arm. Let the stretch happen. On your next inhale, come back up to center. And as you exhale, let your head go in the opposite direction. Press that opposite arm into the ground or towards the ground and then release. Stay here for a couple of breaths. And on your next inhale, come back up to center. I want to stretch the side of the neck. So let's take the right hand down, flex the wrist so that the heel of the hand is reaching away from you like spider person. And you're trying to shoot webbing down by your feet on the wall. Then take your opposite hand, palm is up. And then your nose is straight up towards the sky. Your head is on whatever your head is on whatever surface you have there. What we're going to do is we're going to reach the tip of our ear straight back behind you. Not over to the left and not over to the right. The right tip of the ear is going to be reaching straight up towards the wall behind you. You're going to inhale, push it towards the wall behind you. And that's going to bend your neck a little. And then reach that right hand down when you do that. That's your inhale. Exhale to release. Inhale to stretch the ear straight, push it up towards the wall behind you. Exhale to release. One more. Inhale. Not a big move. And exhale. Let's take the other hand, flex the wrist, palms reaching away from you. Tip of the nose is straight up towards the sky. Knees are bent, feet are flat. Let your low back relax. Take an exhale. On your inhale, the tip of the left ear straight up towards the wall behind you. Exhale to release. Feel your neck stretching. Inhale. Reach the ear straight back towards the wall behind you. And then release. One more. Inhale. Stay here. And then go ahead and release. Bring your arms. Let's shake your arms. We're going to roll onto our side. So roll onto your side off of your blocks. And stay here for a few breaths. Now, depending on what you chose to be on, some things are a little more intense than others. So just noticing how you're feeling, if that was appropriate for you. This spinal support, the spinal extension, fish pose would be the pose that it's from in yoga practice. This is a great way to take tension out of your upper back and neck, especially if you've been sitting for a long time, to really help protect the neck, the upper back, the shoulders, to keep the health of your upper body and the range of the motion in your upper body available to you forever. forever. That's what we're going for, forever. Take your hand on the floor. I want you to lead with your shoulder, not your head. So you're going to lead with this shoulder that's on the top. Look down towards your hand and push slowly. Go slow as you lift yourself up. Coming up. Take the blocks off to the side. Get your blanket and fold your blanket. So I'm going to give you an option here for those of you that happen to be a little bit on the tighter side. If you had 2 blocks or a bolster, you could sit on your blocks or your bolster. We're going to come into this crisscross leg position. And when you do elevate yourself higher like that, you see how my knees are pretty low here? When knees are high, that's a sign of tightness in the low back, tightness in the hip joint. And so elevation can give you a little bit more freedom and liberty in your body. And then for those of you with knees that don't like to bend, this position here is more available to those with knee flexion issues. So sitting on top of a bolster, or in this case, I had 2 blocks there. You could do that. For those that have pretty open hips or a lot of range of motion, let's say a lot of range of motion in the hips, you may not need that high elevation. So you could take a blanket and fold your blanket into double to be a little higher, and then come to sit. Now, if you reach under your body and you grab the flesh, the buttocks, so taking the buttock muscles, the glutes, and moving them back, and do the same thing on the other side. And then this helps to support you, keeping that nice spinal alignment from pelvis to spine. Then bring your hands on top of your knees and bring yourself forward, really stretching. Go forward with a long spine. I want you to come so far forward that you actually feel the stretch back here behind your hips. Go forward and then push yourself over towards one knee. Feel how the other side stretches when you do that. Look in that direction, and then inhale, sweep your chest across the front to the other side. And let's do this with breath, inhaling over to one side, exhaling to the other. Now your chest is open, the front of your chest is open. Use your hands to push down to be as tall as you could be in your spine. And you're rolling from one side to the other. This is the posterior chain. This is the lateral chain. This is a side. Well, it's a posterior hip capsule. So it's the side and the back of your body that's getting a stretch. And the more forward you come with your body, the deeper the stretch. And the forward bend in the body is still with a flat spine when you move side to side. So this is not this to get forward and then moving. That would be terrible. Being rounded in your spine and moving forward is never something we want to do. We want our spine long. We want the bend to be in the hip joint. And then the movement is side to side. Really stretching the muscles of the side body, the back body, and the hip. And see what feels appropriate for you. And then see if you could come forward, take your hands forward, push your hands into the floor so that you're on your fingertips. You're pushing your hands into the floor and let your pelvis be really heavy here. So you have a nice long spine here. Now, if you have osteoporosis, this front part of your spine, you do not want to push the front part of your spine into itself. So this is a hip joint flexion. When you come forward, look at my spine, nice and long. Pushing my hands into the ground, lengthening my body so that the forward bend is actually happening in the hip joint where it should happen. Stretching your body so that you could be better at bending. It's not this. I'm not trying to get to the floor rounding my spine. I have a nice long spine and I'm coming forward as much as I can in my hip joint because I can feel that stretch in the hip area with that flexion. So we need limber hips to bend properly to save our spine. And then I'd like you to walk over to one side, wherever you can, still staying nice and long, not rounding. Keep your head up, look forward and up, because where the eyes go, the head goes, where the head goes, the neck goes, where the neck goes, the thoracic spine goes, and you keep yourself in that nice alignment. Feel that stretch, especially on the opposite hip. Push down into the ground with your fingers and pull yourself long. Take one more breath.
And then walk yourself over to the other side with that long spine, walking yourself over and bring yourself forward. So for a long time, because I specialize in bone health, I've been very precarious about teaching any kind of forward movements. Yet the forward or the bending, when it happens in the hip joint, is a great way to stretch hips and low back. And a lot of people have issues with hips and low back. So I want to teach safe bending because you're bending all day long. And you've got to learn that it happens here in the hip joint, not in the spine. Push down, get really tall here. Feel that stretch wherever you feel that stretch. Really stretching the tissues today. Hydrating the body, creating space and range of motion in the joints. And then go ahead and come up. All right, we're going to take our legs wide here. Now this is a challenge for many to take their legs wide. Come to the front edge of whatever it is you're sitting on. Come to the front edge. And if this is a challenge, actually having a block here to push down on to keep yourself nice and erect can be a great way to stretch your tissues in a nice alignment position. So wherever you need the block, pushing the block down, have it pretty close to you. Push down to get tall. Push down to get tall with your feet. Push down to get tall with your tushy. Push down to get tall with your hands on your block or on the ground. But I don't want you back here. So it would be easy. The body wants to go here because there's so much tightness here for some of you. Do what you can. This is always an intriguing position to me because I'm amazed at how many people have a very hard time with this position, to have the legs in this much abduction, because it's not a natural movement for our body. And then this is going to stretch the inner thigh muscles, and the inner thigh muscles have a lot to do with knee and hip joint health. And they attach to the pelvis, so when you stretch them and pull on them, you can actually create bone building stimulation in the pelvic area. So nice and tall here. And then I'd like you to walk over towards one side. So you're going to add rotation. The lower ribs and the heart are going to actually move over one leg. And if you wanted to have a block here, I would say the block would be the best on the outside arm, and put your hand on the inside to get tall and rotated. You're stretching your belly, you're stretching your low back muscles. And maybe the block a little bit more to the side so that you could really have your heart trying to press over or to reach over one toe. Now, believe it or not, this is weight-bearing stretching, which is why it's more challenging than lying down on the ground and stretching the legs, because you're actually using body weight here and more forces, which means we're pulling on the bones a little more, and we're going to create a little more bone strength and muscular strength. Look forward, chin parallel, nose forward, eyes forward, or slightly up. Take one more breath. And then let's go to the other side. So go slow so you can set yourself up. My heart is pointing forward. My hips are pointing forward. Heart light, hip lights. Take your heart lights, and your heart lights are going to rotate over. The hip lights still stay where they are. So you're stretching your obliques, your core, your low back muscles. So this is for this part of your body. All right. So you're going to take your heart lights, take an inhale, and inhale lower ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs over to the side. You could take the other block if you'd like to give yourself a little bit more pressing downward so you can get a little bit more rotation. Feeling what's appropriate for you here in this part of your body. Make sure you're not rounding. Push your heart forward. And then if you breathe down to your belly, you'll actually deepen the stretch. And see if you can feel any adjustments happening in your spine. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself back, bring yourself out of that. Let's take the soles of the feet together. Soles of the feet, try to bring them as close as you can get them to your body. Take your hands on your lower legs And then for those with knees that don't typically like to bend, look how much they are flexing or bending for you. And if your feet are a little farther away from your body, that's okay. And then if you want to deepen that stretch here, lift your chest up, open your throat, open your chest, and try to bring the lower part of your torso, right by your low belly, closer to the top of your thighs. Imagine you have raw eggs there, and you're going to try to come forward to crack those eggs. So it's the lower part of you that comes forward. It's not about how far down does my head go to the floor. It's, does my lower belly come closer to my top thighs? Can I bend a little deeper in my hip joint, increasing the range of motion in my hips so that I stay safe and keep my spine stay safe when I move? And smile. Take one more breath. So if the knees would prefer to stay here, you could stay here with the soles of the feet together, or you could come back into legs or stretch. We're going to do a lateral movement. We're going to stretch the space here between the lower ribs and the top of the pelvis. So when you bend, I want you to think about this part of your body lengthening. It's also it's laterally flexing the spine, and the whole side of your spine now has the opportunity to stretch. And some of these muscles are an inch long. So they're not going to be crazy, right? This is whatever we're going to get. So let's take our hand out to the side, bend your elbow, put your hand on top of your shoulder. Take your opposite hand away from you. Let's take an exhale and then inhale. Lift the elbow straight up towards the sky. Exhale back. Inhale. Lower ribs move away from the top of the pelvis. Push the pelvis into the floor and draw those lower ribs away. For those of you that do not have any shoulder joint issues, you could take your hand and let your hand be what reaches up. Really draw those shoulders down away from the ears and draw the lower ribs up away from the pelvis. And feel the stretch. One more. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's take the other hand, bend the hand, the elbow is going to be reaching up towards the sky. Let's take an exhale, hand out to the side, and then inhale, straight up. Exhale back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Let's take your hand out to the side. If you'd like, inhale up. Really reach the lower ribs away from the pelvis. It's not about how far you go over to the side. It's about the effectiveness of increasing that range of motion in the spine and staying in the spine for this move. One more. And then bring yourself back to center. Look down to see which leg is in the front. And bring your legs out and let's crisscross them the opposite way. So bring that leg that was in the front back and take the other leg forward. So the other leg is in the front. It may feel a little weird for you. We all have ways that we sit and it's usually the same over and over. So coming here into this, we're going to do a little bit of rotation. So let's begin at the top of the spine. Hands are here. Slide your elbows so your elbows are underneath your shoulders. You're going to inhale, let your head go to the side. Only the neck is moving. Keep the chin parallel to the ground. Inhale the opposite direction. Exhale back to center. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now we're going to go a little bigger. So now you're going to let your hands slide. So one hand slides forward, one goes back. Hand goes forward, hand goes back. You could let your hands hold on to your knee area and go deeper into the rotation if it feels appropriate for you. Stretching the low back, stretching the obliques, creating more range of motion in the spine, which is going to be more supportive and help support the weight of the head on top of your torso, which is going to be supportive of the shoulders, not put too much pressure on the front of the shoulders. One more. And then bring yourself forward. Noticing what you notice when you're doing all of this. Okay, let's stretch our hips a little bit more. We're going to do this mermaid position. So what I'd like you to do is you're going to need a block for this. What you're going to do here is you're going to take the leg, whatever leg this is for you, try to let this leg come straight off your body. Let it come straight off the body, meaning it's not too far forward. It's a little bit, it's right beside your body. And then you have this other leg like this. So this hip joint is in what's called external rotation. This hip joint is in what's called internal rotation. And then you're going to have your block on this side because this will help support, and have it right beside you, not forward. Have this block right here, whether it's flat, and some of you may not need a block. It really depends like what's going on in your body, where's the tightness, where are the issues if there are any, and where just all of that stuff. How long are your arms? I know that my arms are not very long when I do this. And then when you're here, try to push one knee down, try to push the other knee down. And then you want to have your body coming straight off of your pelvis. So see what you can experience here and feel. Notice what you notice. Maybe there's things already happening. Maybe you're feeling tension somewhere. You may be feeling tension right here as you're side bending that hip joint. You may feel stuff in your low back, especially if you have any kind of curvature patterns happening in your spine, any kind of scoliosis. Let's take this hand forward. So the leg that is moving away from you, where your inner knee is on the floor, you're going to take that hand right in front of you forward. And then you're going to exhale. And as you inhale, reach that hand away from you, like push it away from you. And then exhale to come back. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale, one more. Stay here. Push your legs into the ground. And then go ahead and release the tension. So this is the move that I do that helps me the most with the scoliosis in my spine from having one hip replacement and one natural hip. Because it's asymmetrical in the pelvis, it's asymmetrical hip movement, which is going to stretch different parts of the spine, of the pelvis at different rates, which translates up into the spine. And then for any of you that have SI joint area issues, meaning pain in the center of the pelvis at the back where the SI joints are, kind of up by the top edge of your pelvis there. Sometimes people have issues with SI joint pain because of the asymmetry in the body. This can also stretch some of the places that are tight. So just notice who you are, where you are, what your needs are. All right. So this is definitely feels slower work, yet it is so therapeutic and deep, and it's joint specific. So for arthritis, for bone health, this work we're doing here is in your joints. We're stretching our joints, which is going to increase the range of motion. All right. So let's come to the other side. So you're sitting on one buttock. One knee is out to the side. The other leg, try to let it come straight off of your body, and then take the block to the opposite side. And notice what happens when you first come into this. Notice where you feel the tension. So for me, definitely, I feel a lot of stretch here at the side or the back of my hip joint. I felt that on that side. I feel this on this side. For me, on this side, I feel a little bit more, maybe not so much inner thigh, but definitely inner hip joint. So there's a lot of stretching taking place in the hip joint for me. Maybe you're feeling that too, and I was able to articulate for you that is hip joint there. Maybe you're feeling stuff in your back. We're all different, so we're all going to feel it in different places. Have your block here so that you can actually arrange yourself with that you're coming straight out of your pelvis. You're not leaning over to the side. So really try to be straight out of your pelvis. And then take this hand up. Take an exhale, lower your shoulders, press your heart forward. Inhale, exhale, and then inhale, slide that hand forward, exhale back. Try to push your knees towards the ground when you do this. Inhaling forward, exhale back. Inhale, exhale. And then one more. Stay there. And then take one more breath. And then go ahead and release. Well, it would be great if we could talk right now and you could tell me what you're experiencing. I am experiencing so much stretch on the lower part of my body, it just being in this position. And in the other side, I felt so much spinal correction. I felt my spine moving on the other side. So this can be a really, really great mermaid. I know that when I practice Pilates, we do something like this in a reformer and then move ourselves over to the side. It's called a mermaid stretch. Here, I'm getting you to be a little bit more specific on really maintaining that weight bearing in the joints and then adding a little bit of rotation in the upper part of the body. So see how you feel with that. Let's take our legs, bring our legs pretty wide here and do a little release in the hips, little windshield wiper, internal, external rotation. Let it be that that leg bone really rolls in the socket. So if you had a Sharpie marker here on your kneecap, the knee would go all the way in and all the way out, making like an arc or a rainbow. So really try to get the knee to move a lot because that means the hip is moving a lot and the hands are behind you. Freeing up any tension that may have been created. Okay, this next move is not available for all, but it'll be available for some. A lot of people complain of low back pain. So to stretch the low back, I do this often, especially if I'm standing up for a long time. So to stretch the low back, I'm going to come into a squat position. And the goal here is my low back, I really pull my tailbone down. So trying to get, if you have your blanket here, you could put your heels up on your blanket pretty far and the toes are out to the side because that's a little bit more supportive for those that have trouble getting down this far, that don't quite have either the ability to bend the knees or the flexibility in the pelvic area or hip joint area to get here. But for those that do, try this. And then if you get down, legs are pretty spread here. So you get your hands on the inside of your knees, put your palms together, bring your palms towards you so that you have a very deep stretch in the inner thigh area. And then the pelvis, largest bony structure in the body, let the pelvis be heavy. Let the tailbone point down towards the ground and then pull your head up. Get tall here, as tall as you can get. Try to get as tall as you can get. Tailbone is down and you're finding as much length in the spine as you can. This is nice and relieving. If you've been standing for a long time and you have a lot of compressive force in the lower back and you want to release that tension, take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. So for those that are not able to do that, I don't know what I can offer as I'll think about that. I think that what I would say is to come into a wide squatted position, maybe, to come into a pretty wide squatted position near a countertop in a kitchen and put your hands on the countertop. And then with the pelvis, doing a little tilting, backward tilting, and trying to get a little release there. So for those that aren't able to quite bend the knees all the way, that might be an option. All right, let's take the blanket and put your blanket on your mat so that you can be up like this and get your strap. So we've been working a lot today to stretch the chest, the shoulders, the spine, the midsection of the body, the inner thighs, the hips, getting those joints nice and lubricated. Let's see if you could come up and back with your strap. Now, for some of you, this may not be doable with the shoulders. So if you needed to bend one shoulder, and try that with one shoulder bending. One elbow, because the shoulder won't let you. Or try both, up and back. Up and back. Stay back, push your heart forward, look across the room a little higher than eye level. Feel the stretch, hands are reaching back and up. Almost like you're holding a scarf and it's blowing in the wind, and the wind is actually lifting you back a little, like a parachute. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back. Okay, I just had a visual. You know when there's a car, like the drag races and the cars are going so fast, one of the ways that they slow down the car is they put a parachute. Is it called deploy? Deploy a parachute so the wind will help slow down. Well, this right here to me made me think of a perfect way to take a break when the going gets tough, when life is crazy, when you're looking down on your computer, your phone, whatever it is you're doing, when you're in a rounded forward position, throwing your arms up, whether you have a scarf in your hand, a strap in your hand, and thinking of it as you as the fast car speeding that needs to slow down, and taking some moments to really slow down the body, the mind, and the soul. Kind of neat, huh? All right, let's do a little lateral side to side movement when you're up here like this. You can get a little extra stretch with that hand that's going in the air, is really reaching up. Let the hand that goes down pull down to the floor, and then the hand that goes up into the air reaching up to the air. Really stretch that tissue on the side of your body, going a little farther down now. Stay on one side. Have the strap more behind you than in front of you. And then bring yourself up. Let's do the other side. And then bring yourself back up. Let's take that strap, come forward with the strap. Stay here. We're going to start to go into a little bit of strengthening now. We've done a lot to open the body, a lot of stretching, a lot of freedom in the joints. Let's strengthen the muscles now that can hold you in this place of open, where we've worked so hard to free up the shoulders, the chest, the front of the spine, the sides of the spine, and this whole lower part of the body, midsection here, hip, pelvic area. Let's strengthen ourselves in that nice held open position. So take your strap about this far, not too far, but pull, 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 and then bring your hands up. Inhale, and then as you exhale, lower your arms down. Feel your shoulder blades sliding down your back, the tips of your shoulder blades sliding towards the center of the spine and down towards the top of the pelvis. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. One more. Exhale down. Stay there. Now shoulder blades are sliding down the back. The tips of them are sliding towards the spine, and then draw those shoulder blades down towards your pelvis. Push your belly button towards your spine. Hug your lumbar spine. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. Take your strap off to the side. Let's take your hands forward. We're going to strengthen our glutes and then strengthen the back of the body to hold us in this position. So here we're going to be on all fours, which is a little challenging for the wrists and the hands. I would love for you to work on strengthening your wrists and hands if you can, but if you have wrist issues or shoulder issues and you'd rather be doing this in a forearm version, you could take blocks here or a bolster. Better to be elevated versus all the way down. So go ahead and get whatever is appropriate for you with your needs. And then let's come on to all fours, all four whatevers, however you're going to do this, right?
All fours. Let's take the left leg back. Let all 5 toes touch the ground. Exhale, and then inhale to lift the left leg. Exhale, tap it down, especially the pinky toe. Inhale to lift. Exhale. Now your nose is pointing straight down to the tip of your fingers, not towards your wrist. So definitely have that back neck nice and long. You inhale to lift. You exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower out to the left. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower over to the right. Inhale. And then exhale. So go slow here. Your other tushy may be starting to feel warm, strengthening that other stabilizing aspect of the right side, strengthening left in a little bit more of a motion, functional motion pattern. And then bring yourself up, back to center, and then go ahead and bring the left leg down. Take the right leg back. Press all 5 toes into the ground. Exhale. Inhale to lift the right leg. Exhale to lower. Tap it down. Make sure the pinky toe touches. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Push your fingertips into the floor like crazy. So the fingertips are taking the weight of the upper body. And let's do the tapping to the sides. Inhale up. Out to the right, tap the toes down to the ground. Inhale up and over to the left. Inhale. Go slow. Push your fingertips into the ground to help with the weight that's being placed onto the wrist. One more. Bring yourself back to center and then lower. Bring your knees onto the ground. Spread your knees wide. Take your hands forward and wide, and then push your weight back. Don't let your tushy, don't let your tushy come to your heels. Let it go back. Arms are straight. Let your forehead reach the ground. Long spine here. From tailbone to the crown of the head. Push your heart towards the ground. And breathe down to your belly. Long spine. Feel your tailbone moving away from you. Push your pelvis away from you. Push your head longer. So really find a stretch here. And then bring yourself up. Let's take the forearm onto the ground so that the left elbow is underneath the left shoulder. Forearm to the ground. So the right elbow is underneath the right shoulder. Palms are on the ground. Let's take your knees and start to slide your knees back. Flatten the toes. And then activate the core. Press the low back up towards the sky. Flatten out that low back or add a little flexion. Point the tailbone down in between the heels. Come into a modification of dolphin plank. Press the knees into the floor, the shins into the floor, the feet into the floor, and drag them up towards the elbows. So you're pushing down and then you're lifting up, really activating those deep hip flexors, part of the core. And then press your palms into the ground, your forearms into the ground, your elbows into the ground, and slide or draw your elbows towards your feet. Feet towards elbows, elbows towards feet. Feel that deep work. And then imagine there's a string in the center of your low back and pull it up towards the sky. So add flexion in that lumbar spine. One more breath. And then go ahead and lower the pelvis to the ground. Press your chest forward, open your throat, open your face, push away from the ground, stretch the front of your body. Feel the belly stretch. Keep the head lifted, strengthening the upper back muscles. We've done so much to stretch the upper back and neck, and now we're strengthening that part of the body. with length. Inhale to lengthen yourself. Bring yourself down to the ground. Bring your hands alongside your body, and then turn your fingertips to point down towards the ground or down towards your feet. So the fingers are pointing down towards your feet. Slide your shoulder blades towards each other. Touch the big toes. Let the forehead touch the ground. Reach your toes long. Reach your head long. Elbows are squeezing in towards your body. Palms are on the ground. Fingertips are facing the toes. Palms are flat. Exhale. Inhale, reach forward and up. Exhale to lower. Inhale, forward and up. Let it be your rib cage that's lifting up the highest, not your head. Let your head and neck move in unison with your rib cage and your torso. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Stay here. Stay here. One more breath. And then go ahead and lower down. Fold your hands. Let the forehead be on the back of the hands. Spread your legs. Let your legs go side to side here. So we're going to come onto our backs. Reach your hand up, come all the way into the back. Your pelvis is on the blanket. Your head is not on anything. Reach for a block. Put a block between your knees. Lift your head up and lengthen the back of the neck. And then slide your shoulder blades towards each other. Hands are down alongside your body. Walk your feet closer to your pelvis. Block is between your knees. Squeeze the block. Tilt the pelvis so the low back presses into the blanket. Squeeze your tushy, squeeze the block. Exhale. And as you inhale, peel your spine up and away. Closing the eyes, feel the spine leaving all the way up to where the heart is. And then press the chest towards the face. Feel that back bend. You could slide your arms closer towards each other. Push your elbows and your upper arms and your hands into the ground. Press your shoulders towards your spine. So the shoulder blades are pressing towards the spine to push that top part of your rib cage towards your chin. Really add that strong back bend and use those upper back muscles here. Really make this be that the upper body is working, not just the lower. So push the upper arms and the outside of the arms into the ground. Push the shoulder blades into the spine to really bend the upper spine, strengthening those muscles of posture and spinal support. Take one more breath. And then slowly, go slow here as you bring yourself back down. Take your block out, put your block underneath your head. And then the block underneath the head is for those of you that really need that support. For some of you, you are okay to have your head on the ground, but for some, it's a little bit too much, especially if you have a lot of roundness in your upper back and neck and head area. And although we've done so much to work this part of our body today, still may need a couple more sessions to really get that opening to occur. If you'd like to lengthen your body, come into a full body stretch here. It's time for Shavasana, to allow the integration of all that we did today to seep into our cells and then into our soul. So move in whichever way you need to move to prepare yourself for Shavasana. Bringing the blanket underneath your head, putting a bolster underneath your knees if that's appropriate for you.
And find your way into a place that is nice and relaxing for you. You could draw your knees into the chest if you'd like one more time. Do whatever your body wants you to do.
Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Viname Akame Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Viname Akame Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Nirvana Kame 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 Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Nirvana So begin to deepen the breath. Bring your awareness to your neck, upper back, shoulders, spine, chest, belly, pelvis, hips, legs. Notice how you're feeling. Begin to wiggle fingers and toes. And start to bend your knees one at a time, and then drawing the knees into the chest. Rocking side to side. And then all the way up. Letting your shoulder lead the way as you push yourself gently up to a seated position.
Coming to sit with your eyes closed, the hands are going to come together. We'll close with sound, the Let that vibration come from the base of the spine, all the way up the spine, all the way up the neck, to the center of the brain. Let it dislodge, settle, and harmonize and calm the cells, the fluids, your body, your mind, your soul. Take the hands together, the thumbs touch the sternum bone. Sit as tall as you can. Take a big, deep exhale. We're going to do letter M. Big inhale. Bowing. Namaste. Thank you. So I'd like you to pay attention after you get off the mat, when you start moving, to just notice, do you feel a little bit more freedom in your body? And watch this recording as often as you need to free up the space in the upper back, the neck, the head, the shoulders, the spine, the hips, the body. Increasing that range of motion. So important for health, for happiness, for fluidity in your body, your mind, and your soul. Thank you. All right. I hope that was doable. I know for some of you that squat position wasn't, and for others it was. So hopefully you were able to do what you were able to do and it felt good. So anyway, thank you so much. And I will see you when I see you. All right. Bye. Great. Thanks, Carolyn.